crash Jordan. Invasion. Wait, what? What do you mean invasion caravan? What do you mean there's an invasion? Well, I thought this was over already. This is 2026. What do you mean?
Smuggling attempts are spiking along our southern border, particularly in the area surrounding Laredo, Texas. DHS and Border Patrol are now increasing manpower around that area.
So, cartel-linked criminals are once again clamoring for access at the U.S. border. And as we're learning through shocking raids in sanctuary cities, although the bad guys might not have the access to our country that they used to, they're still doing what they can to expand their illegal empire.
Jeez.
At least they were until ICE and Border Patrol stopped them.
Yeah, this is a very large-scale federal operation taking place at MacArthur Park.
Man.
You can see some of the agents behind this fence. They've been targeting several businesses at the park.
But tiene ID? No.
And we are seeing this uptick in illegal crossings in the Laredo sector, and Border Patrol is responding in a big way. They're sending at least 200 agents from both the northern and the southern borders to the sector.
Now, shortly after that, 300 federal and local agents stormed the area. They cleared the park. They cut locks on storefronts, 6 businesses in total.
Sector.
Now, shortly after that, 300 federal and local agents stormed the area. They cleared the park. They cut locks on storefronts, 6 businesses in total. 25 people are federally charged, including a female ringleader and her boyfriend associated with the 18th Street gang.
I mean, we've been watching aiding and abetting criminal activities. We think the Sinaloa cartel's involved. Probably doesn't even dent this cartel's activity, but over there there's a sign on the wall that says 18. That means it's the 18th Street gang controls this.
You'd think that after today, after these search warrants and arrests have been made, that people in...
Can you imagine that there's people out there that are against this, chat? Can you imagine that there's people that think this is a good thing? It's like, it's actually crazy. They're just brain damaged, man. Like, I don't know.
Los Angeles will notice a difference at this park where they have seen, as you look around, a number of homeless.
Yes, if it continues. One off is what this...
Like, anytime I see somebody now that's like, oh, you know, I really like, look, we shouldn't be doing this to people. I'm just like, automatically, they're just retarded. And there's like, I'm not even gonna waste my time anymore, you know?
Cartels expect. They think it's a one and done. You go back to business as usual, and they go back to business as usual.
Make no mistake about it, criminals sneaking into America aren't doing it to live here legally. And what nobody's talking about is after the border successes of 2025, the wrong people, they hunkered down in sanctuary cities, waiting for the right moment to come back. And what better place to do it than the sanctuary state of California, which allows and protects the lawless at the expense of the law-abiding, which is why public parks are now total danger zones and why criminals still try and sneak through the most secure border in U.S. history. And predictably...
Dude, I can't believe how fucking shitty California is. Like, the thing is, guys, is like, I'm old enough to remember when it wasn't shitty, you know, and it's like most people nowadays probably don't even understand that. Like they probably have never seen California in like a state in which it was like full of, you know, like homeless shanty towns, tons of illegals. Like I'm pretty sure people just didn't even know, you know, just people doing drugs in the streets. I think people don't understand what it was like to live without that, without people breaking into your car the instant you walk away from it. It's like everyone thinks it's normal now.
These new crossings are happening where these criminals think they've found a weak point in the border near a few waterways in Texas. But these thugs, once they get inside, they're not trying to stay in Texas. No, that's not where they're allowed access to government benefits while being protected by a lawless justice system that thinks its real enemy is the President of the United States, revealing that sanctuary cities and states are a scourge upon our country that should not.
You know what would prevent this? You want to know what would? Is if they had a shoot to kill order. Like if anyone tried to like cross the border illegally, they just shoot them. Then like this would not happen. They would not have like hundreds of people trying to like bum rush the border. It would not occur.
Be allowed to exist. Yet they do because the politicians and radicals running these places see the enemy of their enemy as their friend. But that brings us to the real reason these gang busts and border crossings are happening at the exact same time. You've got these sanctuary leaders that are desperate to hang on to their power, and they've been trying to do that this entire time by enabling the wrong people, harboring and enabling criminals, because if the president, who everyone thinks is the enemy, says these guys are criminals, well, they must be innocent. At the same time, every illegal fugitive on America's streets gives real criminals who brought them in here another reason to try again, while signaling to lawless leaders and radical voters that another victory in the march against a president they despise has taken place. But the reality is this puts our entire country at risk, because once fugitives hunker down in a sanctuary, crime they commit there doesn't stay there, unfortunately. This video was just taken last month. Look at this. We got all these folks jumping out of a pickup truck. This is crazy.
You two get on the ground. Hey, you get on the ground. All the way down.
This is
get
wild.
On the ground.
Wow. Look at that. And this is still going on. Oh, you hear that? Helicopters overhead. The border's a lot different than it used to be, but these criminal organizations, they're still trying to find a way in. This is still their agenda, even though they're getting busted. But you gotta ask yourself, why are people willing to risk this? They know that if they get caught, they're gonna be instantly sent back and deported, which means the reason this is happening is because folks really want to get inside of America without getting caught, and they want to sneak past all of the security here and disappear somewhere in the interior of the country. The only people sneaking across now are people who do not want to be found. They want to evade at all costs, and if you want proof that this is all cartel connected, watch this.
What, tiene ID?
No.
19 ID?
No.
I have one.
Wow.
That's the only one?
Everybody else says they don't have any.
¿Dónde viene?
Okay.
¿Dónde
But they do have something else.
Yo soy de Honduras.
¿De
Honduras.
Honduras?
Honduras.
Ok. ¿Te puedes subir la manga? De
Watch
voladita?
this.
¿Qué es esa pulsera que
She's
tienes?
asking him. There it is, right there. Wristbands.
Shit.
Why do they have wristbands? I'll tell you why. Those wristbands prove that the individuals on the screen here pass through multiple different areas controlled by criminal organizations on the other side of the border. These individuals, are they cartel leaders, operatives, kingpins? That we don't know, but at a minimum, we know that they are connected to multiple areas of the criminal underworld. And what are they gonna do when they get inside of America? Well, if they're not helping to expand the footprint of these guys inside of our country for purposes that are not allowed, at a minimum.
Isn't it crazy though, chat? Isn't it crazy how close we were to just like perma-fucked, basically? Right? Because we were already reaching the point of like critical mass to like where they would have so many votes that they could just vote for pro-immigrant stuff forever. Like, dude, Trump was like seriously like our last chance. It's actually crazy if you think about it like that. Kodiak, thanks so much for the 100. I'm glad they're doing their jobs. Those wristbands have been the thing for a decade now. Oh, man. Remember, folks, the left will do and say anything that's against what Trump says. After the CBP shooting in Minneapolis, Trump said that the guns shouldn't be allowed at protests, and all of a sudden, the left started supporting gun rights. Crumbs and Crummy, thank you so much for the sub as well. Thank you.
There'll be guys inside of our country for purposes that are not allowed. At a minimum, they'll be paying back the smuggling fees that they've had to pay to get through the most secure border in history, which is gonna be 5 figures. But if we've got the most secure border in US history, how is it that criminals are finding a way through it now? What's being done about it? And is this some sort of problem? Have we been lied to?
Exactly right, Nick. And we are seeing this uptick in illegal crossings in the Laredo sector, and Border Patrol is responding in a big way. They're sending at least 200 agents from both the northern and the southern borders to the sector on a 30-day deployment. Now, our sources tell us that it's a lack of manpower and a substantial increase in that illegal activity, that foot traffic on the ground. The surge is showing up on the ground and in the data. We're talking about 2,600 encounters logged for March and April. That's up more than 50% from the previous 2 months, for some perspective there. And we just got a statement from CBP saying, quote, CBP sent additional personnel to Laredo to continue to secure our border. The sector is bordered entirely by river with no natural barriers to slow illegal crossings, which makes it a target when smuggling routes shift and evolve.
So what we've got here is we've got criminal organizations on one side of the border, and they're always...
Hear me out, chat. Hear me out. Piranhas. I'm a fucking genius. Piranhas. We just put lots of piranhas in the river. Yeah. They'll never cross it again. Saltwater crocs.
So what we've got here,
which makes it a target when smuggling routes shift and evolve.
So what we've got here is we've got criminal organizations on one side of the border, and they're always looking for an opening, and they may have temporarily found one, which has now.
Okay, what if we found, guys? What if we found the most aggressive, sexually deviant dolphins, and we got like all of them, and we put them in that river?
Been completely shut down. Their criminal pipeline into our country has been blocked. And at the same time, these numbers that we just saw, this is nothing compared to what the border was doing before Trump came in, that's for sure. But you've got to understand it's expensive to keep a massive number of Marines at the border on a regular basis, especially if they could be.
I know, dolphins can't be in that river. I fucking know.
More useful somewhere else, which explains why the security apparatus evolves and changes over time. For example, anyone doing border reinforcement in one area may not be there forever. Their tanks and battalions may be deployed to other sectors of the front when something's going on. But while this criminal pipeline has just been blocked, the thing you've got to remember is the huge attraction sanctuary cities inside America have to criminals who aren't here yet. But there's another problem.
Thanks to record low crossings, we have the manpower and flex.
How about this idea? How about this idea, chat? We get drones, like Ukrainian drones, right? And then all they do is they seek out people, but we don't put bombs in all of them, just in some of them, right? So then it'll make them afraid to cross the river. Yeah, what if we did that? Hear me out, death charges? Oh, that'd be crazy too, man. Drone roulette. Yeah, drone roulette.
Ability to move agents quickly, concentrate resources, and take enforcement action where it matters most. Now, this sector is inevitably dealing with gotaways, as you just can't walk in anymore, and sources are telling us that across the border.
That's who these criminals want to be. They want to be people that sneak in and disappear into America. That's what gotaways are. These are people that law enforcement sees them. Law enforcement knows that they have come into the country without permission, and they vanish. They are not apprehended. They disappear. That's a big problem. These are folks that have an agenda. Why would your agenda be that you're going to come into a country and just automatically disappear and go into a criminal underworld? Well, you're part of one already, or you're headed to one and your goal is to link up with it somehow. That's why we've got these criminal organizations and sanctuaries. That's why we've got these gangs that are all over the place, these cartel-linked organizations, not to mention people who sneak into the country and disappear. They're not always teaming up with, let's say, a cartel. They could be part of some other foreign adversarial group, perhaps a foreign military, perhaps they could be spies, perhaps they could be agents of Iran. We heard speculation that was going on, and that there were people inside America creating the opportunity for that regime to potentially try something at home, which hasn't happened. The president's been very clear. We know about these groups. We're watching them. But all of this is enabled by the ability of these criminals to find a friendly place inside America.
Border Patrol is averaging around 48 gotaways each and every day. Those are people who have been seen on a camera or detected, but never actually caught. The previous Border Patrol chief saying bad actors exploit the holes in the border and could have nefarious intentions. Take a listen.
That's wild.
For any of us that have done this for a living, one is too many. We don't want to see any gotaways, because all it takes is one bad actor to cause harm to somebody in our communities or to our country.
Right, and what a great time for politicals to defund Homeland.
You want to know one thing, too, that people always bring up? They go, oh, well, they don't even do anything. They just want to come in and they just want to work, and they don't want to, they're not even trying to do anything bad. I don't even care about that. I don't. If they try to come in here by default, it's a crime. I already don't want them here. Yeah, and that's a lie. I mean, sure. I mean, my point is, it doesn't matter, right? Real Gerald, it doesn't matter whether or not, even if it's 100% true that they're peaceful people that just want to come over here and work. I really don't care. It doesn't matter. I'm against even that. Even in the best case scenario, I'm against it.
People a day are seen on cameras and are venturing into the country somehow, and then never being spotted again. We've always got an eternal mission at the border of this country. We can secure it, we can build fencing, we can build military bases along it, but there will always be people trying to get in. No matter what you put there, there will always be people looking to exploit a temporary weak point if they're able to find one. And the worst part about it is these sanctuary cities, these New Yorks, these Chicagos, these Californias, the whole state's a sanctuary.
Yep.
These are places where criminals know they're gonna be protected. If they get arrested in a place like that versus a place like Texas, where Texas public safety's out there working with ICE and Border Patrol, there's no cooperation. They're going to get released from whatever sanctuary jail they wind up in, which is usually backed up by a legal system that nobody respects anyways, and they're going to get to go right back out on the streets. That's why these places are home bases for the wrong individuals.
In our communities or to our country. Lots of concern with not knowing who comes into our country and who they are, what they're bringing, what their purpose is. The gotaways have always been a concern, the primary concern, I would say, for not just the Border Patrol, but DHS writ large.
Yep, that's why we got to fund them. Stop trying to shut them down.
Agents are finding them. The illegal immigrants are being hidden in shocking ways. And then you had 17 illegal immigrants found hiding in a stash house waiting for their next move. Now,
that's wild. So these criminal networks, these were all established when border security didn't exist. You had people setting up these stash houses. You had routes, smuggling routes through the entire country, ways where criminals knew they could drive to various places where they could stop, take a break, pick people up, drop them off. A lot of this stuff's still out there. It's just lying dormant. It hasn't been activated, but once criminals figure out that there's a new opportunity to get into the country, all these areas light up. Their crime machine turns back on. At the same time, the folks coming in who surrender peacefully and get sent back, these are not the people that we need to be worried about. It's the folks that run away and scuffle with law enforcement and do their best to disappear and never be seen again until they reemerge at the sight of a bust led by heavily armed troops in a sanctuary somewhere. But now the question is, what are we doing about this? Because we heard so much about border security last year, and then it's like that topic kind of died down, and now we're seeing this. We've got criminals back in their old stash houses, up to their old tricks. What's going on?
Confirm that this detail does include members of their special operations teams, which includes
Special Ops.
Now, I did just hear from a source, Nick, who tells me that today things are almost eerily quiet. He says the manpower surge and the media coverage might be making an impact here, and he says he hopes it stays quiet like this in Laredo right now, Nick.
Allie, two quick questions for you, because this is your wheelhouse. I heard you say 48 gotaways on average in the month of April. Allie, that's down significantly from when you were reporting on the border under the previous administration, where there were like hundreds at some point there. And the administration right now, Allie, is also...
Dude, hundreds of illegal people that we have no... How do they not see this as a security threat of like... Not even like a terrorist security threat, right? Like, we don't even know where these people are come from. So there are two archetypes. Thank you so much for the 100. Piranhas aren't that aggressive. Crocs and barracuda are good options. Being the hippos, dude, hippos would be sick. Actually, can't we just get some from Colombia? Doesn't Colombia have hippos? I swear they had hippos or something over there. Yeah, we could just ask for some. Kodiak, thank you so much for the 100 as well. I say drones with flamethrowers and tasers. Yeah, that'd be sick. Ukrainian roulettes and Sapphire. Yeah, man.
Fast tracking the wall construction. What's the situation?
Oh, so we're building more.
Yeah, so under the previous administration, they logged about 2 million gotaways.
I believe they can't survive to breed the numbers that we need
during that 4 years. Yeah, so under the previous administration, they logged about 2 million gotaways during that 4 years. So yeah, substantial decline in gotaways. But as you heard Chief Jason Owen say there, one is too many. So they're trying to tamp down on the gotaways because they're looking at about 10,000 for the year. So that's still a substantial number of people that might have nefarious intentions.
So this report goes on to discuss how they are fortifying these sections of the border wall where people are just sneaking through. There is not going to be any area of this country's border eventually where people can look and wait for law enforcement to vanish or to be drawn down because of a lack of activity or because there's a need elsewhere and say, hey, look, now's our chance. Let's try and sneak in. That's all going away. But what about the people who say, oh, border security doesn't work? Oh, these walls doesn't mean anything. Well, we've got some proof that they do work, and wait till you see who we're getting it from.
¿Usted tiene alguna incidencia donde hay alguna persona vulnerable donde requiere o que quiere cruzar de forma ilegal?
A wall separates them, and yet they work side by side.
Listos. Okay. Gracias.
And in Spanish. In the border city of Mexicali, local Mexican police and the US Border Control are in close contact, regularly carrying out coordinated operations to deter would-be border crossers.
The wall looks
was that
Border
a
Control
combo? Dude, EOTech combo? That's nice.
are in close contact, regularly carrying out coordinated
nice one,
operations to deter would-be
It's my
border
favorite.
crossers.
The wall looks impossible to scale, but some still try. It's rare, though. Before, when the wall was lower, anyone could see them. You just had to drive along the border road, and you could see
You
migrants
love the
climbing.
EOTech hybrid? I have a EOTech on my gun right now, the one next to my desk, but I don't have the mag because I don't have the magnifier because it's not close. I mean, it's made for like CQB, so.
Wow. So when the wall wasn't as high or as formidable or as reinforced, people were scaling it. Go figure. But now we know it works. We're hearing from Mexican police that it works. And you know something? This idea of border security, it's not just good for America. There are countries like Mexico that suffer greatly at the hands of empowered criminal organizations. These walls shut them down inside America and outside of it. Their lifeline is the $13 billion a year they were making when the border was wide open. This was a major source of revenue that pumped up these criminals who are now on the ropes as the United States kicks up operations like this Shield of the Americas plan to root out criminal activity all throughout our hemisphere. These are good things that will bring law and order back to places that have lacked it because of an American lack of leadership.
Another major change has occurred at the border, this one clearly driven by Donald Trump. Migrant crossings have plummeted. Tijuana, at the western end of the US-Mexico border. When we visited this shelter back in
Holy
2022,
crap.
migrants from around the world were waiting for their chance to cross into the United States.
I went there once,
Now
it was really scary.
it's almost empty.
Our shelter used to house 180, 200, sometimes even 300 people, depending on the situation at the time. But today we only have 17 migrants.
Huh.
It's been very hard to tell them that it's over, that they can no longer go to the United States
The town. I went to the town one time. My friend was like, let's go to Mexico. And I was like, sure, why not? And then we got lost and it was like nighttime. It was really scary. And I was like, I'm never coming here again, man. Fuck that.
access aid programs.
Oh, interesting. But when you see these images of these packed shelters on the Mexican side of the border, you've got to understand that the individuals who got there traveled through the territory of
This was a long time ago. It was a lot less bad back then.
criminals, just like the folks with the wristbands. They had to pay to get here. And while this was very much a humanitarian crisis, it was one that benefited the very criminals causing it. And we can see that when the border was wide open, Mexico was essentially a pass-through destination for some of the people that are getting arrested in strongholds like Los Angeles right now. People who either paid cartels to come into the country or are part of one. And as you're about to see, now that leadership is back and that there are border walls and there's border security and these criminals are getting taken down, other areas of the border are starting to rise up.
But on a Saturday night in Mexicali, it's a different picture. In this border city shaped by generations of Chinese migrants, residents from neighboring Calexico on the Californian side cross back and forth with ease.
I was born and raised in California, but I've got family here, so I come over often.
Pretty much everything. We come here for our medical appointments.
There's more choice when it comes to food and going out.
Look at how safe this area is. It's an area of Mexico. It's by the border. And you know what you don't see? You don't see criminal activity destroying this place. You see legal businesses. You see people that feel safe. They want to come out. They want to enjoy the night on the town. You've got cross-border economic activity going on here. That's fine. Because what you don't have is cross-border criminal activity taking place here. That's a big problem. That's not the kind of cross-border activity we want. And the worst thing for areas like this is if they're totally taken over by the wrong people who will destroy all of this legitimate activity, because you can't have legitimate businesses, you can't have legitimate entrepreneurs, you can't have average law-abiding people doing what's best for themselves and their families. Oh no, you can't do that if criminals are everywhere. And you know something? This crackdown on crime inside the United States and in Mexico, this is going to have major effects on these countries. This is going to help the law-abiding everywhere. People who for years haven't been able to get ahead because the criminals are the ones that are ahead. And these local governments have been powerless to do anything.
Man, how did this happen? Like, how did we get to the point where the criminals have more, the criminals are being more protected than the citizens? It's so stupid, man. Like, the more I think about it, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. It seems so fake, you know? It seems...
Think about it, because these criminals were getting so rich off the United States, allowing them to just enter our country and do all the stuff that they're still trying to do in places like California. What do you think about that? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.
Whoa, I won't lie, this was savage. Hey, that's Leaflit. I know who that is. Man, all right, I'll link you guys the video. Well, I mean, I hope that that stuff gets solved, because I don't want there to be more illegal people. I'm just being real. I really, like, I'm really kind of to the point where I feel like we should take more drastic action if it ramps up again, because the reason why I think that is because we're really at the last, how do I say, we are at basically the maximum before it tips over. So it's like we have to hold the line as hard as possible, like right now. We need to deport like way more people.
So put them in the box.